the #1 podcast in the world for growing your insurance business.
I'm gonna do whatever it takes, getting it done, any means, get rid of these snakes. Now I'm up on my stakes, going all in like get rid of these breaks. Now I ain't never gonna break, double my pace till I go down one of the greats. One of the greats, whatever it takes, whatever it takes.
Can't believe I'm doing this.
Having fun, so that's all.
We like the life. All right, everybody. Welcome back into another episode of the 7 Figures or Bust podcast, the #1 podcast in the world. Round earth, not flat. For growing your insurance business. This is episode 182. I'm Christian Brindle, joined with Glenn Shelton as always, aka Virtual Assistant Santa Claus.
That's right. Super excited that we're going to be able to go to the Christmas party in the Philippines this year and see the team. You know, kind of been long overdue to get over there. So looks like it's going to be a great event this year. We have a really, really big team in the Philippines. For those of you who don't know, if this is your first time listening to the show, first of all, welcome. Audio only listeners, or whether you're watching the replay on YouTube or you're right here in the group. Christian and I have a company that we co-own together called Hire Heroes, which focuses on vetted virtual assistants from our team that we can essentially transplant into your business. So the giveaway here, the Santa Claus hat, is our holiday discount. So we don't typically discount this service. It's very difficult for us to really go below the prices we already have. It's as cheap as you can possibly find for a vetted virtual assistant. But once a year, we like to try to offer a discount for you guys. So if you are looking for a virtual assistant, if you need help, if you're getting out of AEP and you realize there's no way you can do this alone for another year, this is the best time for you to take advantage of this promotion. Grab your assistant now. You could start training them before January 1st, or you can set this up so it starts in January. I am not a certified accountant, but potentially you could also see tax savings on your 2025 tax bill if you grab a virtual assistant before the end of the year and you prepay for going into next year. I'm going to do a whole video about kind of tax strategy from a non-certified accountant's point of view. I'm gonna release that, but lots of great opportunities at Hire Heroes. So I'll make sure the link is below this video. So if you guys are looking for that. Also, Freebie Friday, we're going to give away some free virtual assistant hours on Friday. All you have to do to get into that contest is comment below this video right here in the Figure Medicare Agent Facebook group.
And with that said, we got our sponsor out of the way as fast as we ever did on the show, right? Hire Heroes, guys, bringing you the episode 182 of the 7 Figures or Bust podcast. Make sure to take advantage of that. That is a killer offer. We had a bunch of people take advantage of it about a year ago, and it was so popular, so effective, so helpful for so many. We decided to bring it back because that's what we're all about. Holiday season, holiday spirit.
Existing clients too. I want to make sure, previously we've done some promotions for new clients, people who are getting new virtual assistants. This promotion's for everybody. We've got over 100 virtual assistants out there working with agents right now. So if you're one of them, if you're an existing client, we love you, and you get to take advantage of this discount as well.
Yep. I want to shift gears, right? So there was two topics that we wanted to talk about today as we were kind of planning today's show. The first one I wanted to kind of get into a little bit was this Apple iPhone iOS update that was supposed to be the boogeyman, right? Leading into October, there were some grifters trying to get you to buy a bunch of shit because you should be scared of it. And we were told your business would have to close its doors by October 1st.
Yes.
By the grifters.
The grifters.
So we wanted to provide an update. If
it's
a lot of
time.
you, are exiting AEP and you're like, yeah, I didn't really notice much of a change. Well, you're not alone. We said kind of going into this, and I want to kind of give you the floor because this is more your line of expertise than it is mine, in the telemarketing sector. But, we went into AEP and our predictions were this had been, for those of you that don't know, by the way, what the iOS update is, it's essentially an update that Apple pushed down that was similar to what Android had done in the past and some other types of phone providers, where it would essentially filter out phone calls that you would get. And it would have like an automated message be like, let me see if this person's available. And those have been done for multiple years, 4 or 5 years plus. Very low adoption rate, like 2 or 3%, right? Isn't that the number on those other ones?
Yeah, very, very low as far as like Android or any of these other call screening software out there. To give you a little backstory on this, because we've talked about this a few times on the show. The idea was that this call screening software, which has existed for years on other devices, but because Apple's doing it, all of a sudden you're never going to be able to call anyone ever again unless your number is pre-saved in their phone. That's the only way you'll be able to call a lead or call a referral, right? Like if your number's not in their phone, this is what we were being told. If your number is not pre-saved in their phone, you will get blocked by this call screening software.
Mm-hmm.
So do you remember some predictions that you had about iOS 26 back in the Dizzy a few months ago when we were talking about this? Like what you thought would happen?
I think we both said it would be a nothing burger.
Nothing burger. That sounds
right. And the burger's great. It's juicy. It's here we are, right? Like we're in December at this point. And it's just the sensationalism that was essentially used to promote people's products, their tech products. CRM competitors of ours and things like that. They're like, get ready. You're going to go out of business. I guarantee you 99% of insurance agents did not take any special precautions to accommodate for this iOS update. And this was the biggest AEP in history.
Yeah.
In terms of applications written.
Yeah. 100%. 100%.
What is your kind of perception on the telemarketing side in terms of like the usage of this update, or like the adoption rate of it?
So again, some of these quote unquote grifters in our space were saying, you're going to see close to 100% adoption rate from Apple users. Yeah. And Apple makes up the majority of cell phone users, more than 50%. I don't know what the exact breakdown is, but it's usually like 55-60% of cell phone users are around the iPhone ecosystem instead of Android or other systems. So the idea was that now the majority of your calls are going to be screened. I mean, that's what we were being told. And at the time, I think our theories were that we'd probably see some type of uptick in this, but that it would, again, be kind of a nothing burger. So the update I wanted to share with you guys from the call center side of the business, going through these disposition reports, and our team makes, over the course of a month, we're going to be making hundreds of thousands, if not millions of phone calls. So we have a lot of data when it comes to, what we're seeing when we're making these phone calls. And we also have a lot of peers in the call center space too. I work with a lot of call centers. We share information. So it's not even just what I'm seeing. I'm always like, hey, dude, what are you seeing? And then we kind of share notes, So the disposition that we were looking at in the report, especially over the past week, kind of going through some of the data, it's called operator intercept, is really the where it would fall under in the system disposition. If we tried to make a call from our software and it gets screened by iOS 26, it would fall under the system disposition. Now, here's kind of the tricky part, though, is operator intercept could have a few different meanings. It's not exclusively iOS 26. There's obviously other operator intercept softwares out there. There's also some stuff that goes on at the carrier level. You know, these big telecom carriers, even some of the smaller telecom carriers, they have their own technology where they're trying to intercept calls as well, because they're trying to stop spam from going to the consumer. So this data is a little bit convoluted, but what I can tell you, comparing what operator intercept looked like before versus after, operator intercept before iOS 26 was hovering around like the 2 to 3% mark. So, you know, every 100 calls that would go out, 2 to 3 of them would get caught up in quote unquote operator intercept. Since iOS 26 has come out, it has gone up. It has gone up. So, you know, if you fell into that category where you thought it would increase, yes, it did, which obviously more opportunity for calls to get caught. Of course, it's going to go up. Mm-hmm. But overall, you're talking about maybe a 4 or 5% increase so far. So we're looking at like 6, 7, maybe 8%. So that again, like 6 to 8%. You know, so every 100 calls, maybe 6 to 8 are falling into operator intercept. And now you could make the argument that the technology rollout is early still, and that you'll see this continue to creep. And I wouldn't even necessarily argue that point. But the reality is that the majority of these calls are still going through just like they were before iOS 26. It's not this doomsday that we were being sold. It's not telesales is over, telesales is dead. Like, that was clearly not true. So what are your thoughts on kind of that information?
Yeah, and I think it makes a lot of sense. And I think, you know, obviously, anytime an update like that rolls out, there's going to be a certain percentage of people that will utilize it, right? But like, what's interesting is, like you mentioned, you know, there might be more people that adopt it as we go. It's what I found really interesting is, like, some of these have been available for, like we said earlier, like maybe 5 years or more on Android or some of these other platforms, and the adoption rate hasn't seemed to really go up on a lot of those. You know what I mean? It's still like a very, very small percentage. So it's possible it does get higher utilization on it, but probably not that much more. And there's a possibility it doesn't even get used at all. You know, in terms of a higher a rate, maybe it doesn't go up like we think it's going to. I think I don't see it being that different from what happened on the Android side, the Google phone side, those types of things. For me personally, since it rolled out, the only time I've ran into it is when I've called you. You're the only person that screened my calls. And I'm in your contacts as far as I know.
I've had some spam calls come in. I've also had some calls though where the number was not in my phone and it went right through the operator intercept. That's happened a lot too. I just got a call as we were getting on from a spam number. Literally, as the intro was playing on this episode, a number that was not in my phone, which I think was probably just a spam call, hit the front of my phone without going through the operator intercept. So clearly this technology is not where it's at the point where it can really identify all of this. The other thing, you know, and I was honestly thinking this could be Summit Talk worthy, this topic, because so many people don't understand it, or they've been misled about it, or there's misinformation about it. But I was just talking to someone who has way more knowledge on this than even I do. And they were going through with me the scoring mechanisms for phone numbers, where at the carrier level, there's technology where they're trying to assign an automated grade to your phone number every time they see your phone number. So, Christian's number is making a call. Is this a real call or is this a spam call? And then they're assigning a number, and then based on the grade, or it's apparently 4 to -4 is what I'm being told. That's the scale. So if you're at a 4, A plus, Christian's numbers going through every time. Christian can call the president of the United States, get Trump on the phone. It's not marked as spam. It's no operator intercept. If it goes apparently to -2 or lower, that's apparently where you're getting a really bad grade on your number, and now you're going to get flagged. You might get screened at the carrier level before you even get to someone's phone, or you might get marked as spam, etc. So there's a lot going on behind the scenes, and I think iOS 26 in the grand scheme of things is like, it really is a nothing burger, especially right now. I think it's something to watch. That's the most I think I could give it, is like, it's something interesting that you should be conscientious of, that you should be watching for sure.
Well, I think it's all very interesting, and it's fun to see the grifters grift. Do the grift. You do the grift. You, instead of Monster Mash, you do the grift. The grift.
You do the monster grift.
The grift is gone in a flash.
You do the grift. It's a bank run dash.
Can I get an AI image of that? Anyone on our team that's watching, can I get an AI image of that, please?
I need a Monster Mash grifter collab created immediately.
All right, main topic today is debriefing AEP, right? We are December 10th at the time of creating today's episode, the creation phase.
Yes.
And December 7th ended on 12/7, so this past Sunday. I guess my question, kind of to kick this main topic off, is your perception, right? Because like, you co-own an agency, but seeing what we've gone through internally, but also kind of observing from afar what other agents seem to be going through. How would you characterize this AEP? I feel like there's a lot of different, I guess, like, layers to this AEP. This was a very strange season for many reasons.
It's hard to say where to start, but without a doubt, the lead up to this AEP was the worst lead up to any AEP historically ever.
Yeah.
Hard stop. The August 1st to October 1st, I don't ever want to live those 60 days ever again. Dark Christian came out. We hadn't met Dark Christian before. Dark Christian's trying to like remotely turn people's licenses. He's like, the herd is thinning. Laser beaming you guys. I don't want to see Dark Christian in the group as much as we have. I think there's times when we need him, but it's a superhero. It's like Batman. It's a superhero vigilante that sometimes the group needs, but we don't want him here every day. That'd be exhausting for all of us. So that lead up of, we saw all of it. We saw people who've been in the industry for years who literally were like, nope, I'm out. I just saw a comment yesterday from somebody who was talking about diversifying outside of insurance. They're still doing the Chicken Little dance, saying that the sky is falling. So that lead up, I think, set this stage for this AEP of chaos. But when you look back to last AEP, I actually think this AEP was a lot smoother from that standpoint, because at least all the chaos happened before. If you want a silver lining, right?
The vast majority of it, right? There was a little bit that happened during, but it was a very small amount, especially when you compare it to last AEP. Last AEP, there was kind of the vast majority of what we saw from non-commissionable plans being put out there and plan suppressions happening right in the middle of AEP. And while there was a little bit of that, right, there was that PDP announcement that came out early October. There was a couple carriers that put out a few additional non-commissionable plans and things like that. It wasn't anywhere close to the level of craziness that it was last AEP in terms of those announcements coming during the season.
Yeah. So I think that in a way you could compare it to last AEP and say that it wasn't as crazy. The disruption though, here was kind of, if I had to really try to like summarize this for, past Glenn, if I'm like sending a message back in time about like, and I can only say like 3 sentences about what happened this AEP to Glenn several months ago, it would be, mass disruption created an environment where the majority of you did not grow your books. Christian and I talked about this at length leading up because we kind of saw the writing on the wall. Now that AEP is over and we've talked to a lot of you, seems like that's really, again, what happened, what we thought was going to happen. And so the people who were prepared for it typically did better. Now, obviously, I understand that that's subjective. Some of you were in markets that just got demolished, and it didn't matter how prepared you were. You had
Minnesota.
to move Connecticut, South Dakota, Idaho, I think was going to be really bad. Maybe wasn't as bad at the last second due to some plan changes, but I would still say it was probably one of the craziest AEPs ever, though, despite all of that. Right up there with last AEP. You could maybe create an argument this last AEP was crazier. But I will say this, though, is despite everything, ESI had their best year ever. And a lot of agents I talked to also had their best year ever. So there was plenty of opportunity in that chaos, in that disruption, if you were prepared for it. So that's kind of like my elevator pitch on this AEP. I know there's a lot we can get into, but what's kind of your top level overview if you had to do the same thing, if you're trying to send a message back in time to Christian of August 2025 about what just happened? What is your overview of AEP?
Yeah, I think a lot of it was fires beforehand instead of fires during, like you said. I think that had a lot to do with it. And then I think once the kind of smoke cleared on what was going to be, then I think it was cooking. Because there was a lot of disruption. There was a lot of planned cancellations, service area reductions. There was a lot of plan changes that were not very advantageous for the member. So I think more people were willing to change their plan this year than probably any AEP in recent memory. We had people that we saw, like there were plans that in our market that were fairly popular that people have been on for 10 years, 15 years, and they would never have thought getting off of it. Even if there was a better version of a plan, it was slightly better, right? The plan changed so rapidly that they're much more open to having the conversation. And I think you probably saw that everywhere. In terms of that. And so, yeah, I think the what I would call the serious agencies, the agencies that take this shit seriously, they work all year round, they sell all year round, they grow all year round.
I'm imagining some people listening to this and just getting immediately offended by that. Like,
I'm sorry.
You don't think I take this seriously? That's what you think? You don't think I'm a serious person?
No. Like I was talking to an agent the other day, someone that I love dearly, but like only works during AEP, somebody that just is asleep at the wheel. Didn't even know Dr. Oz was our admin.
Yeah.
Had no idea. He's like, Dr. Oz? I thought you mean he's like a celebrity endorser of CMS? I'm like, no. I mean, he's the fucking CMS admin. He like runs the day to day.
Aren't you almost envious of like that
Yeah,
level of,
yeah.
I know. I'm like, can you imagine? Like,
You don't know what's
wow.
going on or
Yeah.
what's happened the last couple of years. Like you're just like, I guess ignorance is bliss.
Yeah.
But I guess my point in saying that is the agents that know what's going on, that have seen this stuff coming from a mile away, were prepared for it and prepared to go on the offensive and be in growth mode, while still at the same time being able to kind of protect their businesses from it. And there's several of those agencies, you know a bunch, I know a bunch. There's some we both mutually know that cleaned house and did great. We were one of them. ESI was one of them. And so when I hear us talking about, there's a lot of agents that didn't grow their book of business, I think like not like the big time players though. I would say all the big time players grew their book. And if you're listening to this, it's not saying that this is the way it has to be. It's just maybe it's more of like an eye-opener situation for you, to where it's like, okay, there's things I can do differently in my business. I need to build structure. I need to build infrastructure around me, so that way this kind of thing doesn't happen again, that there's never an AEP where I don't grow my book. Right.
Yeah.
That's more my message. It's not meant to be like, demoralizing.
I can't imagine being a solo agent going through this AEP, trying to service your book on top of everything else. Like if you're getting referrals, like my heart goes out to you guys. It really does. I know there's a lot of you out there who take pride in like, I'm doing it all myself. I'm going to, talk to every client. I'm the one answering the calls. Like I understand, like you feel a sense of pride doing it, and you're trying to genuinely help people. Here's the other topic I really want to get into, and doesn't necessarily happen right now. We can maybe save this for a little bit later in the show, but the non-commissionable plans that were being written by agents is obviously that's a big part of what this AEP was, is this whole situation of virtue signaling, I guess, from some of you about, I'm writing a non-commissionable plan because it's the best plan for my client and I'm happy to do it. I'm happy to work for free.
Can we talk about this now? Like, do we have to talk
Let's do it. Let's get into it.
I could finish the show with this topic. Like I could talk about this for the next 40 minutes. Okay, so yeah, there were a lot of agents out there that, and I think the message was maybe a little bit misconstrued as we went on, right? Like there's a lot of agents that hear that and they think PDPs, right? While I don't even necessarily think you should be writing those, we didn't, that were non-commissionable. I think that's maybe a tad more forgivable than the MAs, the people that were writing the non-commissionable MAs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there were several of you out there that, you have a great big halo above your head and no money in your pocket.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's a ship worker.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was very interesting to me because I remember going into AEP, you had a concern, Mr. Glenn, that
I was concerned about this.
But your concern was a little different. It was like,
yes,
you were afraid that agents wouldn't realize what's commissionable, what's not commissionable, to write the wrong plan by accident, which I thought was a valid concern. I feel like the quoting platforms did a really good job of kind of mitigating that.
Did.
I think what neither of us predicted,
I
think what neither of us really anticipated is the agents saw in full transparency what wasn't commissionable and wrote the non-commissionable plan anyway by choice.
Some of you got upset that the quoting platforms were suppressing non-commissionable plans. That was a big topic that came up. I'm upset that my quoting platform is suppressing non-commissioned. And again, we're not talking about PDPs. I know this gets misconstrued where, you think we're talking about PDPs because almost all PDPs are non-commissionable. We're talking about Medicare plans, non-commissionable Medicare plans.
Medicare Advantage plans.
Medicare Advantage plans. And some of you were upset that your quoting platform was suppressing these non-commissionable Medicare Advantage plans because you feel like it's your right that you should be able to write these plans that still exist out there, even though you're not going to get paid for it. And there's a few things I think we can get into with this. So, one is the perception to the carrier when you write a non-commissionable plan that they don't want, right? Carrier doesn't want that business. You're not getting paid on that business. There's a chance that your E&O might not cover you if something comes up.
Which that in and of itself turned into the big topic of debate in the community.
Yes, that's still a debate. Yes,
there was conversations being had that I never thought we'd be having.
Yes,
I guess.
Here's my final point is that you're signaling to the carrier that you're working for free, and you could just have them self-enroll if you genuinely feel like that's the best plan for your Medicare beneficiary, your client. And you I'm going to do the right thing. I'm going to make sure they get on this plan. I'm all for that, but you should have them self-enroll. You shouldn't be the writing agent on that plan. That's what Christian and I have talked about. So that's the 4 things off the top of my head where I'm like, this is super problematic. So, what do you think the future of this looks? Do you think we're going to see more agents writing non-commissionable plans?
This episode of the 7 Figures or Bust podcast is brought to you by Everything Senior Insurance. Guys, if you're looking for an FMO in 2025 to be a partner with you and really support the overall growth of your business, Everything Senior Insurance is the one-stop shop to allow you to get plugged in with great resources. Whether it's ACA contracts you're looking for, whether it's Medicare contracts you're looking for, whether it's final expense and life contracts that you're looking for, Everything Senior Insurance has got you covered. We provide a free CRM in 7-figure CRM to all of our agents that meet the proper requirements on their contracting and have enough contracts with us. We provide discounted leads with Lead Heroes, discounted virtual assistants with Hire Heroes, and we provide just year-round support to just be there and help you out in your business, as well as fantastic training. Glenn, what do people need to know about Everything Senior Insurance, the FMO?
At Everything Senior Insurance, we've really combined all of our resources to create an FMO that can be a true one-stop shop for a senior insurance agent. Most FMOs have only maybe one resource or even no resources beyond offering that contract. We want to provide value to you as an agent to help you grow your book of business. Or if you want to create an agency, we want to help you grow your agency. And there's so many resources that we have put together to really help you grow your business. So if you are looking for a true partnership, someone that will invest in your business, please reach out to Everything Senior Insurance. We would love to help you grow.
Thanks for listening to this message. And now back to the show. Sure. I do. I think we'll see more of it because I've never had agents fight me so hard on anything. I've had a lot of strong opinions over the years. And some of you just, want to execute me over it. Like I can see it in your responses. Please don't. But I would never kill myself. But
Candace Owens is on the pod today, everybody. She looks a little different.
Christian Owens.
Candace Brindle.
But no, like that topic. I mean, there's been a lot of strong opinions I've taken or stances I've taken over the years on certain things, and you guys will fight me on it. But that one in particular, you guys fought me on really hard, and I've never seen such virtue signaling ever. It was like, I'm not money hungry, and I will always do what's best for my client. I picture the nasally voice and everything, when I'm reading the comments, and
the the whiplash of coming off of the pre-AEP, the August, September lead up of everyone getting really upset about these non-commissionable plans to all of a sudden we're a month into AEP and now I'm upset that I can't write them. And I'm just sitting here and I'm like, what is going on? What is going on? What do we want? Do we want to get paid or do we not want to get paid? Like, what do you guys want? Do you guys even know what you want?
I think there was some situations, right, where like, let's say you have a client that's on a plan that's going non-commissionable and you're trying to do a review with them for next year and you're still getting paid renewals, right? And you're having a hard time finding the plan benefits to go over with them. Like, I think that those situations popped up too. And I think those kind of got lost into the weeds of this as well. I think that's a little bit more reasonable, right? Because you want to do a proper review with your client. It's hard to do that if you can't find the SOB. But so there was some of that in there to play devil's advocate, but I do think there was others where it was like, I want to write this plan. I want to enroll this person in this non-commissionable plan, and the quoting platform won't let me. I'm like, they took it off the quoting platform. They're not paying you commission. Golly, it almost seems like they don't want it.
I would assume the carriers were probably involved in that decision making, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
More than involved. More than involved.
Hey, take those non-commissionable plans out. I don't want agents writing them. Take them out of the quoting software. They're still writing them. I just can't imagine being at the carrier level, seeing those non-commissionable plans come in. That would be the most fascinating data to have. Imagine if we could just like download a spreadsheet right now and it told us how many non-commissionable plans you guys actually wrote this year. Because it probably would just make me sick. It's probably like tens of thousands of non-commissionable plans nationwide, right? It has to be. It's gotta be.
I'd hope not. But
I'm telling you, it's gotta be. Millions of apps are being written. I bet tens of thousands of them were non-commissionable, and some of you may have gotten mixed up, but I think a lot of you were like, I'm doing it. You can't tell me what to do, Mr. CMS. I'm writing these non-commissionable plans. I don't care what you say.
Mr. Carrier, you want to term this person in a year? Well, you're going to cover them for this year. Fuck you. I'll change them next year, but I won't get paid this year.
I'm not going to get paid. You might lose money, and they're going to get the service that they want as a beneficiary because this isn't a business. This isn't a business.
Let's talk about that a little bit more, right? Like, it's one of those things where it's like the agents kind of went into kind of conspiracy theories as well about all this. You know what I mean? Like, you're starting to see people posting, like, this carrier made $7 billion last month in profit. They are losing money. I don't think so. They can't pay commissions. Like, they started getting like really conspiratorial, like tinfoil hats, like in their profile pics and everything, like, I'm like, who is this person? I click on their profile pic, tinfoil hat.
Yeah.
Ask me about Medicare sign underneath. Like, there was a lot of that going on too. And so there's a lot of agents that, like, the whole argument for not writing the non-commissionable plans, I think we did a really good job laying out. But in addition to that, we've made the argument it's not good for you because you don't get paid, sends the wrong message to the carrier, like you mentioned. It's not good for the carrier. It's not good for your client because they'll be termed probably most likely sooner than later, right? But the agents stopped believing that. They're like, I'll write this person on this plan and they'll be covered for 20 years. They'll never be termed. Like, they just like started like making things up out of thin air, going full Candace Owens. I have evidence. Trust me. And I'll reveal it next episode. Goodbye.
Like, seriously though, like, it's And it speaks, we talked about this before, but it speaks to the culture, I think, of kind of the internet and this whole everything's a conspiracy theory. When the reality, I always botch how you say it. It's the OZCAM. It's the philosophy of Occam's razor. I don't know why my brain's not working today. It's a philosophy theory that the shortest point from A to B is usually the correct answer.
Oh, right.
I really subscribe to this theory. And if you're listening to this or watching this and you're like, how can he not say Occam's razor? Occam's razor? Maybe that's it. I'm sorry. Okay. I'm sorry. But almost anytime something comes up, that's what I'm looking for, you guys. What's the shortest point from A to B that's going to explain this, right? And the idea that, some of you guys are like, you're like, oh, it's A to L. This is what's really going on. Dr. Oz is taking all the commissions directly into his own bank account. 1-800-Medicare is a call center, and all the LOA renewals are assigned to Dr. Oz. Here's a new conspiracy for you guys.
When you call 1-800-Medicare, the person that picks up on the other end of the line is Dr. Oz. Hello, you've reached Mehmet Oz. Can I enroll you today?
All of a sudden, leaderboards come out next year, and it's like Dr. Oz, Dr. Oz. It's like, oh my God, he's the number one agent with every carrier. Like, what?
How did that FMO get him? The conflict of interest.
Mehmet. He's right behind me, you guys. He's watching us. He's watching us.
I feel like here's the thing, right? It gets so ridiculous to me as well because, okay, so agents, we've talked about this before, but I'll talk about it a little bit more now. Agents putting it out there, such and such carrier made $15 billion in profit last quarter. Lies! It's just a lot of that. The whole company, not this specific plan, is bringing that in. Like, these carriers were very transparent in public. You know what I mean? Like, they were publicly discussing that this was going on their stock market calls, on their investor calls that anybody can look up. And so you're saying the carrier is going to lie about this, kneecap their sales, because a large portion of their sales come from agents. They're really making all this bank on these plans. They're going to make it hard for you to sell, and they're also going to risk indictment from the federal government for lying to their investors. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what we're talking about here.
Yes. And here's, where I think a lot of this comes from too, as we're talking about this, is if you've been paying attention at all in the space, it's pretty obvious what's going on, right? Like PDP plans going non-commissionable. The writing's been on the wall for that for a long time, right?
For 10 years.
Right. And so I think part of the reason why there's so much chaos is because so many of you spend 7 months. Another one. That's 2 this episode, you guys. Maybe we'll get to 3. Get your punch cards ready. I'll punch them at the end. Maybe, you spend 6 or 7 months not paying any attention because that's where a lot of the problems come from, because you forget what happened last year. You haven't been paying attention to any of the updates. All of a sudden you turn on, your email account, you're looking at Medicare news, you're looking into the Facebook groups that you haven't looked into for a long time, and you're like, what is this? Oh, they're getting rid of Medicare agents. That's what this is. No. And I wanted to throw this out too, because I think Christian made such a great point the other episode when we really deep dive this topic, is the cost to pay us a renewal is essentially zero to them. I know to us, we're like, $20 a month. Like, it's like everything to us, obviously. That's why a lot of us are in this business, to get that renewal payment on your Medicare beneficiary. To them, it's essentially nothing. Not only is it essentially nothing, but if you compare it to other industries, even, a lot of times like a royalty or an affiliate or a commission, a lot of times it's a lot higher of a percentage than what the carriers pay us. They barely pay us anything compared to the value of that client to them. So why are you so scared about losing that $20 when it's literally nothing to the carrier?
I think one thing we said on that other episode that perfectly encapsulates this is carriers getting $1,000 a month per member in funding. And out of that 1,000, they pay $25 a month to you as the agent. And they're sitting in a boardroom and they're like, how can we afford this? How can we afford little Billy and his $25 a month?
It is a credit card transaction fee on their bottom line, you guys. It's nothing.
Yeah.
Like you want to talk about them profiting 15 billion. You think they care about that 2 to 3? Now, mind you, every good company is going to look at every single expense.
Sure.
So I'm not saying that they're not upset about having to shell out money to us. I'm sure they would love to not pay us if they didn't have to, but to think that there's this big conspiracy going on when it's just, a credit card transaction fee amount, 2 to 3%.
Can I do some math real quickly?
Yeah.
So let's say you bring 100 apps into a carrier in AEP. At an average of $1,000 a month in funding, $12,000 a year per member, you brought them $1.2 million in revenue. So do you think they don't want you to do that? Like,
they're just going to have to keep getting paid more and more per member. Inflation, cost of handling these Medicare beneficiaries, the value per member is going to continue to climb for them. So, and it's not like our renewals are going to explode with it. Most likely, they'll probably have a huge net gain on that. There's another part I want to kind of talk about, and I'm a little nervous because I don't know how much we can talk about, but it's really the marketing dollars situation. I don't know how. Can we talk about this?
We have to tread very lightly.
Okay.
We can talk tiny. Okay, look, I think what we can say.
Set the table. Yeah, set the table for me because I don't want to spoil dinner here.
I think what we can say is over the years, marketing dollars, especially on a federal level, have been shrinking and changing in terms of, one, the carriers that are willing to do it.
Yes.
Two, the types of business that they're willing to do it. This past AEP, we saw the carriers that were willing to do it would only do it in certain markets and not in others. Others would just do D-SNP plans only. And what we're anticipating going into the new year, based on what we've been told, without naming any names, there are big name carriers that had done it heavily that are going to, at the very least, pause for a while because they don't feel like they need to incentivize the business.
Yeah. So, the main reason I wanted to bring this up is because, again, from an AEP standpoint, this is a relatively big change. Historically, again, being an old timer like I am, I'm trying to pull up comments so I can see if anybody's got any questions. Guys, comment below if you have any questions, concerns, you want to throw your hat in the ring. By all means, we'd love to have you comment live or replay. Comment below. But historically with AEP, there was at one point in the golden days, which I feel ancient when I think back, but there used to be a time when it didn't really matter what carrier it was. They were shelling out hundreds of dollars per app up front, no commitment. It was like, hey, little Billy, how many apps do you think you're going to write? Oh, I don't know. I might write 1,000. Okay, I'm going to send you $200,000 in marketing money, okay? And if you don't write a single app, that's okay. I can't legally take any of this back, okay, little Billy?
I see here, little Billy, that you wrote 25 apps this year. You're going to write 1,000 next year. You know what? I think you're good for it. Let's put this in and see what happens. 250,000, little Billy.
Yes. That is real. I know it sounds funny. I know we're kind of, you know, we're making a joke here, but there were many situations where people would get tens of thousands of dollars of marketing money fronted to them, and they would not write any, or maybe they just write a handful of apps. And the carrier just basically, and the upline and whoever else was involved would just basically be like, oh, well, we tried. That went on for years. And ultimately, because of that, again, this is another one of those situations where the writing's been on the wall for a long time. So if we end up over the next 48, I was trying to calculate, I was going to say 24 to 48 months. So next 2 to 4 years, if we get to a point where marketing money essentially is gone and there is no more marketing money, some of you, again, will point to this as a conspiracy or evidence that the industry is dying, etc. But the reality is that this has been a long time coming. People were abusing marketing dollars. CMS was getting involved with the legality of it. All marketing dollars were off the table at one point because it seemed like CMS was like putting a hard stop to it. So another thing that, we saw the past AEPs that we might not see going forward. That's another change.
Yeah, and I actually don't have a problem with it because if I mentioned this in a post I made the other day, it forces FMOs to really actually bring value instead of just throwing marketing money at somebody. And I do think there's a lot of agents that became spoiled and entitled from marketing money. They thought they deserved this huge amount when they did very little. And that was always kind of obnoxious to me because when I came up and I started and I built the foundation of our agency as a producer myself, I never got any marketing dollars. You know what I mean? I was paying for everything myself. I never got anything like that. So when I see agents that are writing like 30 apps a year and they're like, I'm going to need lots of marketing money, lots and lots. And not saying they shouldn't have gotten any, but like some of the requests that would come in, and not just for me,
Right.
I'm friends with a lot of other people that run big agencies that have agents of their own. We talk, we should kind of, have these conversations. It just kind of created a spoiled, entitled, pretentious attitude in a lot of agents.
Yeah, it's one of those things where like it's kind of unfortunate for the agents who weren't abusing it, for the agents who like had a very legitimate operation and they were meeting their quotas or exceeding their quotas every year. And obviously it's helpful, right? But also on the flip side, I do kind of agree with you, Christians. Like it kind of thins the herd in a way, in a good way, right? Because there were definitely some bad actors who were abusing marketing dollars. So, it's one of those things where unfortunately we all lose it, but it also gets rid of those bad actors because those funds don't really exist anymore. Oh,
I want to say one more thing. Like, doesn't mean it's completely gone going into next year, but I would expect for it to be dramatically less. There might still be a tiny bit of it that still exists, but it's not anything like it was. And I don't really have that big of a problem with it. We don't need it at ESI.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's available, we'll take it, but it's not going to make or break what we do.
Right. Because, and the other, I think the biggest problem with this whole situation is there's agents and agencies out there that won't spend money on marketing unless someone else is giving them money. That's the insane part of this. And I've seen this firsthand as someone who's done marketing in the space for a long time. Wild to me that you're like, yeah, I'm not going to spend money on my business unless you give me free money. Then I'll spend money on my business for marketing and growing. It's like, you should be doing this no matter what. You should have a marketing budget in place no matter what. Why do you have to wait for someone to give you a coupon to spend money on marketing? So that's the frustrating part for me, is like, it really shouldn't be as big of a deal as it is, but some of you struggle to spend money on marketing unless you're literally being given money and told, hey, this needs to go towards marketing, little Billy. Here's your 20K, whatever it was they used to get. There's a question here.
Yeah.
From Paul, I wanted to mention here. Why didn't they want to give me renewal commissions on my PPOs if it wasn't a big deal to them? Not sure why.
I'm assuming you mean in Washington. It's hard to know without the specifics, but if you're talking about that, right, there's a big carrier that pulled renewals on PPO business in Washington. I'm not saying it's not a big deal for them. I guess my message is getting misconstrued. I'm not saying it's like nothing for them and they lose it in the couch cushions. I'm just saying I think that there's plans that the carriers view as the walking dead. Like they're going to go away. Right? And so they just don't want that business being sold. And in some places, in very select areas, maybe it is a financial issue, right? Maybe they are bleeding so bad that they pull. I mean, there's very, very few situations like that, though, in the whole country.
Yeah, you were right. It looks like you're right about Washington State.
Okay, because that's the only area I'm aware of that happened in the whole country.
Yeah.
And I think it was just with one carrier, as far as I know. But so that could be a select situation.
Isolated
right?
incident. Yeah.
And it also could be that they want to incentivize people to move people to HMO plans with that carrier, right? Because a lot of these carriers are kind of feeling like the PPO model is a losing proposition for them. So they're like, okay, maybe, we're getting killed on these plans. Maybe if we make the PPO non-commissionable, we can get the agents to move these people over to the HMO plans, right? They're playing chess, not checkers.
Yeah.
Right. So like it could be a strategy in a market that they were getting hammered on super badly, that is the way it's going.
Yeah.
And looks like the major hospital doesn't want to take the PPOs next year. They probably didn't want to renew the contract, the carrier. They're probably like, how can we get people off this freaking plan? Because then we have less SARS, less people that are getting SAR'd next year when we term them all.
Every time you say that, I think SARS, like the disease.
Original COVID.
Original Corona, bebes. That's right. Look at you. Yeah, I think it's important to note this because this, again, kind of came up over and over and over, was anytime there was a quote-unquote non-commissionable plan, a lot of you jumped, again, to this theory or conclusion that all renewals are gone now on that plan. When the reality is 99.9% of the time, beyond really this Washington situation, maybe there's one other situation that I'm not aware of, but 99.9% of these non-commissionable plans, if your client stayed on them, you still got the renewal payment. And why would they do that? Because they want you to service the clients, because they don't have the resources to service 70 million seniors, guys. That's why they pay us renewals. Some of you are like, oh, they could just bulk up their call centers a little bit and then they could just start handling all. No, they not today, not next year. Could they, in theory, at some point do it? Maybe. But as of right now, there's really no example of any carrier or any government entity that could overnight start handling 70 million Medicare beneficiaries, servicing their policies month to month, helping new client. Like it doesn't exist right now. That could change in the future, but right now it doesn't exist. And so I'm not worried about it. That's really what I really hang my hat on, is like,
it's also way more expensive on a per client basis for them to service them entirely than what they pay your renewal every month.
Look at Mutual of Omaha. They killed their whole captive side of their business and they went all in on the broker side. Why? Because it's more cost effective to pay us, to pay brokers.
It's been a good move for them.
Yes.
Last I checked, they were second biggest in the country of med sup business. Medicare supplement members.
I watched their internal model die right in front of me. And there's a reason for that. It's more cost effective to pay us to manage them. So, we could obviously speculate about the end of Medicare and when that's going to happen and how that looks. We've done that before on the show, but that's not what today's episode's about, right? I mean, this is about AEP, the AEP recap. So we're getting towards the top of the hour here. Is there anything related to this AEP that you feel like we didn't get to that you think is necessary to mention before we get into final thoughts?
I guess I can kind of spin this into my final thoughts in a way. I think we'll probably have another pretty chaotic AEP next year. So just setting the expectation. Please, when we get 8 months from now, remember me saying this. And remember me saying it's going to be okay. I think we really had to go through 3, maybe 4 insane AEP cycles for things to correct. But I do think a lot of the plans that went non-commissionable this year, like last year, we'll see terminate. Not all, but a lot. And so if you have a bunch of members on a non-commissionable plan, I would be thinking about that in your prep.
Yep.
But I think that's the game, right? Like, stop getting new people on these plans. File as termination on as many of them as possible the following year, and then rinse and repeat for a few years until they've cycled out all of these plans that don't work for these carriers. They have new plans in place that are going to make more sense. So I've said this a billion times. I don't need to beat a dead horse too much, but that's what I would think about this AEP. I think next year will very likely be a lot of the same. But I think it'll probably just get smoother and smoother and smoother in terms of the carrier's execution of it all. I think there'll be probably more notice given. Things will be less chaotic. Things will be more streamlined in terms of they'll have a little bit more figured out. There were some things where it's like we felt like carriers handled things really badly or poorly these past 2 AEPs. I think that'll just continue to get better though. As we go. So that's my final thoughts on today's show. And overall, great AEP for ESI.
Yeah, I think the word that really comes to mind about like winners versus losers this AEP, it's really infrastructure. The agents and agencies that had some type of infrastructure in place, systems, software, assistants, LOAs, infrastructure looks different for everybody. And some people have really big infrastructure. Some people have small infrastructure. But those who had some type of infrastructure in place, they were so much more likely to win this AEP than those of you who were truly independent, trying to do it all yourself. So again, with the writing being on the wall, and as Christian just shared with you, and I totally agree, who knows what next AEP looks like at this point? It's so early. But most likely it'll be at least some of the same, right? And best guess today is that we'll see some disruption next AEP. Maybe it's not as much as we think. Maybe it's going to be worse than we think. Who knows? But if what we just saw this AEP happens again next AEP, wouldn't you want to have some type of infrastructure in place to help with the service, to help with the rewrites, to help with the phone calls and to help manage your business so you can actually grow it? I mean, it's so important. So, again, shameless plug for Hire Heroes right now, guys. We have 15% off. So you can actually get someone to come in and work inside your business for less than $10 per hour, which is crazy. Vetted virtual assistants from Hire Heroes. We use them at ESI. We have over 100 virtual assistants transplanted into agencies today that are helping and have helped a ton with all of those things that I just discussed. So check it out. Head over to hireheroes.com if you need help. We're here to help. And until next time, you guys, happy selling. Mr. Brindle, take it away.
Appreciate you guys watching all the way to the end. Episode 182. We'll be having more shows for you before the end of the year. So make sure to tune into them and watch for them. We'll be kind of putting out some information pretty soon about our 2026 regular schedule for the show. So watch for that as well. And make sure to like, comment, subscribe, give a 5-star review, whatever the platform of your choice will allow you to do to support the show. We appreciate it. It helps more agents find the show who need to hear this information. And until next time, here's to your massive success. Happy end of AEP, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks, everybody.